I wrote a letter to my future self when I was in 6th grade, and I told myself nobody's youer than you. And so I finally got it back, and I was reading it with my parents, and it's like kind of funny just to see what I was saying to myself, my future self. And so at the bottom it's no one was youer than you. And I kind of like ran with that this year. Like anytime I was going up to compete, like Liz would say, like, no one's youer than you, you got this. And like it is kind of like a reminder, like, just do you, go out there, be yourself, and just do your normal thing. I mean, you do so many numbers in the gym, like you're just going out there and showing off what you've worked so hard for.
This episode was recorded in the spring of 2023 after the 2022-2023 gymnastics season.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Denting. I am your host, Fernando Andrade, and today I have a very special guest, a part two, long-awaited part two, Neveah DeSouza. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me again. I'm so excited we got to do it again.
Thanks for coming back. I remember we ended last episode saying like it'd be cool to do a part two, so it's exciting to do that now. I think I forgot to turn on the backup mic. Is it blinking blue on your end or no?
I think it's good. It's normal blue.
It is? Okay,
Yeah.
Cool. So it was just my end. Awesome. Well, previously, in the past episode, we talked about heading into your last season. I think we definitely recorded after your junior year.
Yeah.
And you talked about knowing that it was going to be your last season. You had certain goals. I'm not sure if you had injuries at the time. Like it's so different now being able to talk with you.
Yeah.
I guess a bit more openly because you're out.
Yeah, I'm done. It's crazy. It's so crazy. I don't know, this last year was so much fun, especially knowing it was going to be my last year. Like, I felt like I went into it, I wanted no regrets. Like, I just wanted to leave it all out, and I feel like I definitely did. I got a 9975, which was, like, my highest score ever on beam, and my team, like, just broke countless records. It's, like, last year, like, the year before, we were like, how could we do better than this? And, like, this year we killed it. We did even better, and, like, they're only going to continue to get better. Like, I cannot wait to watch them.
Something that's very interesting about your team is how good you guys continuously are, as you guys don't think that you'll get any better. Like, you're like, all right, I think that's as good as we'll get, and then you guys still do better, which is amazing to watch.
Well, thank you.
Especially last year. I think we mentioned it. How many seniors you guys were losing and how many amazing seniors you guys were losing in comparison to the freshmen that you were bringing in, quantity-wise, not quality-wise.
Yeah.
What do you think it was that changed so much for you guys in terms of quality? I know it's very hard with fewer numbers, so what was that like for you guys?
I would say, like, everyone on our team was very connected. We talked about it, like, all year long, is being connected with ourselves, like, as a team, with our fans, with the coaches, like, at a meet. That was, like, what we talked about, like, let's stay connected. And I feel like we definitely were so connected from the beginning of the year. At our team retreat, we had a great team retreat, a funny team retreat, and, like, I think that just kicked us off to, like, a great start on the season. And then we kind of just carried it on. There was about, like, 6 girls, I think, or I guess 5 girls that were consistently, like, all-arounders in the lineup. Gabby did 3 events and Casey did 1 event, and, like, that was everyone that was, like, consistently in the lineup. And so that's kind of crazy to see on a team, just to have, like, so little amount of girls doing every single event. But I don't think that means that we don't have the depth. We definitely have the depth, but we are just able to compete all around every weekend, and that's kind of, like, crazy. But I definitely think they're only losing 1 routine in the lineup, and they're gonna do good. They're only bringing in 2 girls next year too, so they're gonna be even smaller. It's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not something I would even want to think about.
Yeah.
But logistically, or like, I mean, logically at least, getting, like, avoiding and dodging all the possible injuries within that routine is also huge. Like, what do you think it was? Is it literally luck, or was there a secret thing to that?
I think this year we had a lot more days off. Like, we didn't have any Sunday practices, and, like, usually after a meet, like, they would just let us relax. We got massages a few times, and, like, I think that definitely helps. Like, not always doing more is gonna benefit us.
Yeah, there's a typical story and analogy of, like, when you're cutting a tree with an axe and you take a longer break to take care of the axe and then come back and do that work, because I do remember, I mean, being quite honest, right? Just talking with your teammates in the fall.
Yeah.
And you guys were like, I don't know how we're going to do this. Like, we have very low numbers. And
Yeah.
I don't know how we're going to do better and get better. And I mean, spoiler alert, but you guys ended up going back-to-back
Yeah.
Pac-12 champions, which we'll talk about in a bit. But before we even dive into your season, you mentioned that mentality that you had, and I'm actually very, very interested in that. Take me through what that meant, knowing that it was your last season.
Yeah, so I was originally thinking of maybe doing a 5th year, like my junior year, and I've just done so much gymnastics like my whole life, and I've accomplished a lot of goals even like leading up into my senior year, and so I was like, you know what, I just think it'll be best for me for this to be my last year and just really enjoy it, like enjoy every single moment of it. And so out of me, like I was less stressed because I could just like enjoy the moment, and I'm not worried about, oh, if I mess up, like who cares? It's my last time around, you know? And I think I was just so focused on trying to enjoy the moment that I don't know, it just came easily to me. And like I took every opportunity to like hang out with my friends and with the team, and like it's been kind of fun to see the team like I don't know, I feel like I hang out with like all the different classes, and like it's definitely fun to see how the team changes over the years too.
How often did you remind yourself that it was your last season?
Kind of a lot, I'm not gonna lie, just because it is a hard sport, and your body just gets tired, and I'm like, you know, this is the last one, you got it, just keep pushing. And like I definitely did remind myself a lot, but also in times of like when things were getting hard, it's like, okay, this is the last one, like enjoy the grind, like embrace the grind, like this is your last time doing it with your team. So like it could be a positive thing to like help you get through.
Did you have any specific phrase or mantra or any specific reminder that got you back into that mentality of, hey, it's my last season, let me enjoy this, let me make the best of this?
Well, actually this year, so I wrote a letter to my future self when I was in 6th grade, and I told myself, nobody's youer than you. And so I finally got it back, and I was reading it with my parents, and it's like kind of funny just to see what I was saying to my future self. And so at the bottom, it's no one was youer than you. And I kind of like ran with that this year. Like anytime I was going up to compete, like Liz would say, like, no one's youer than you. You got this. And like it is kind of like a reminder, like just do you. Go out there, be yourself, and just do your normal thing. I mean, you do so many numbers in the gym. Like you're just going out there and showing off what you've worked so hard for.
That is awesome. That is
Thank you.
so cool. I mean, obviously, I had no idea about
Yeah.
that.
Well, thank you.
What inspired that letter, or who told you to write it? Did you write it yourself, or when did, like, was it meant for your senior year, or what was it meant for?
Well, so it was my 6th grade teacher we were supposed to write a letter to our future self, and we were supposed to get it when we turned 18. Unfortunately, she passed away, and so we didn't get it until I was a senior in college, so 4 years later. And it was like, I was surprised it still even came, because I knew I wrote it. Like, I was waiting for that letter, and so I was so surprised when I actually got it. And it was kind of funny to hear, like, what I talked about. And then, actually, after receiving that letter, I was like, that was, like, really cool to see, like, all the goals that I accomplished and, like, thought I was going to do. I did every single one of them. And so I wrote a letter to my future self in 10 years from now that I'm going to read, and hopefully I'll accomplish all of those goals.
Are you comfortable sharing a few of the things that you told yourself in the past, not for the future, but like as a 6th grader?
Yeah. So I said I wanted to do gymnastics on TV, and I did that. I kind of said, I was kind of funny with it. I was like, okay, if you're not still friends with Kylie, get up and become, like, call her right now. So, like, one of my best friends from when I was young, I'm still friends with her, and I said I wanted to be, like, very neat and organized, because I was always, like, very clean and organized, and, like, I wanted to, like, continue that on, and so I still do that. I wanted to be more on time for things, and I'm very on time for things now, but, yeah, and I just wanted to do gymnastics and, like, go to a really cool college. That's what I said, a really cool one, and I didn't know which one at the time, because that was around the time I was starting to get letters from colleges and stuff, and so I did that, and I can't remember, like, a lot of the other stuff, but it was just kind of funny to hear myself, like, yell at myself, my future self, in the letters, like, if you're not still doing this, you better do it. Like, I didn't want to quit gymnastics, and, like, I didn't do that. So I there was just a lot of things that I was, like, really proud to see my past self, you know?
Yeah. So as a sixth grader, you wrote a letter to yourself as what ended up being a senior in college.
Yeah.
As a senior in college, 21-year-old senior in
Yeah.
college, as a 21 senior in college, you wrote a letter to your future self a
Yeah.
decade from now.
Yes.
If you were able to write a letter to your sixth grade self, what would it say?
Oh, it would just say like how proud I am of her and everything that I've accomplished. And I just didn't even imagine that for myself, you know? Like, I couldn't even imagine how great it was going to be to be on a team like I was and like at a school that I'm at. Like, I didn't really know I wanted to go to college. It was kind of just like the next thing that you do. And like, I mean, it's been like the best experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And so I'm just proud of myself and proud of how hard I worked throughout all the years to get here.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's amazing that you're doing that and continuing that practice of doing it yourself. Now, I'm sorry about your teacher, but even though you guys managed to find that letter, or you managed to find that letter, I'm assuming the other students did as well.
Yeah.
What inspired you to write a letter to your future self again?
I just thought it was such a cool idea. And I like, if I'm a coach one day, which I want to be, I kind of want to like have my gymnast or whoever like write letters to their future self, because I just thought it was like such a cool idea. I didn't know how much it was going to mean until I got it. You know, like when I'm in sixth grade, I'm just writing what I'm supposed to write, but I didn't know how much it was going to mean until I got it. And so I was like, I want to do this again because I want to see like, I mean, these are my goals right now, and I want to see if I'm going to accomplish them later on, and like without even thinking about the letter. Like, you know, I don't even remember what I wrote in my letter to my future self right now. And so like, it's kind of like, I wonder if I'll be like on the same track as I thought I was going to be, you know?
Yeah. Who kept that letter, or what did you do with that?
So it's like in an envelope in my closet at home. I have to re-go through all my stuff at home for when I move back, and I'll put it in a safe space. I told my parents, I'm like, you guys got to keep track of this for me. But yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways to document what you're feeling and going through and thinking. I think a lot of people use like the Notes app, or even something like Snapchat Memories is very useful for that. For me, to a certain extent, like I can see very different versions of myself and what I'm thinking and what I'm going through through the podcast at this point. Like when I look back and I listen back and I'm like, wow, I'm not that person. I'm not that same Fernando as I used to be. And it's continuing to happen to me as it's been like a while now and through videos. But I think however it is, whether it's notes, whether it's something like Snapchat, a daily vlog, or a podcast, or even just a handwritten letter to yourself, I think it's beautiful to be able to reconnect that way. And I love that, like, nobody is youer than you is very inspiring.
Well, thank you. And you must be proud of yourself with how far you've come with Denting. Like, I mean, you've come such a long way. And, like, even as much, like, last year, I was just getting to know you. And, like, now, like, we've gotten to know each other so much. And, like, you're on Cal Sports. Like, you've done so much. You've got to be proud of yourself.
I mean, definitely something that I'm proud of. Like I was telling you right before I clicked record right now.
Yeah.
I think there's still a lot I can improve, and I'm not going to be too harsh on myself because I was doing a lot of other things at the same time.
Yeah.
But definitely looking forward to fully focusing on it and just seeing what can come from that, because I mean, as you know, with any sport, when you're distracted by other things and you can't get your reps in and you're taking days off and things like that, it's just not going to fully work. But yeah, I guess so. If a year ago when we recorded, you told me, oh, all these things are going to happen, I would have been extremely excited.
Yeah.
Something I shared with Elise a few weeks ago, actually, one of my practices is whenever I'm going through a lot of things at the same time and my mind is all over the place and I'm overwhelmed and anxious and just like not feeling great, I look back at this list that I have in my notes. And what I do is for every calendar year, I write down the month and everything I've accomplished and my goals for that month. Yeah. And whenever I'm feeling down or not feeling myself, I look back at that as reassurance, like, hey, you did it before and you were going through the same things. You'll be able to do it again. So I think that is definitely something I'm proud of and feel better.
Yeah, I really like that idea. That's awesome. Yeah.
It's honestly very neat, and it helps me a lot. It helps me realize how much I'm moving forward, because if you look at that poster over there, that's like every single day, and that is very micro. But when I look at the macro in my notes, it is very helpful to see myself moving forward in the long run. Yeah. But I'm sure you can relate to the fact that we always want more and we're always pushing for more.
Definitely. It just comes with our sports and just being at a school like this. It just comes along with it, I feel like.
Yeah, what were you telling me right now? Like, oh, it must be nice or whatever. And it is.
Yeah.
But I still don't think it's enough. And
Yeah.
it's both a blessing and a curse. It's what keeps me going. But
Exactly.
it's, you know, I sometimes it'd be nice to feel like it's enough. But
Yeah.
anyways, you go into your last season. Did you have any goals or not really?
I got a 10-0 in club. I did want to get a 10-0 in college, but I mean, that I got one, so I was okay with it, and I did get a 9975 on beam, which was a record until Maya Lazan came and broke it like a few routines later, which that's okay too. She's my teammate. Of course I wanted to do good. But so that was a goal. When I was younger, I wanted to have a skill named after me, which in college that's like kind of hard to do because I don't know, you're trying to like be very perfect with everything that you do. But other than that, I just went in like I want to have a really good year. I want to end on a high note. You're not supposed to like think of the negatives, but I didn't want to get hurt. I just wanted to be very healthy and make it through my last year and end on a high. And we definitely did. Like my last meet, I was very happy with how it went. The meet before that, we won regionals. Like it was like unexpected, and you can't ask for like a better last year. We broke so many records too. That was crazy. I couldn't even have thought to make that my goal, you know.
With the injuries that you brought up and not getting hurt,
Mm-hmm.
your entire 4 years, it almost seemed like, at least for the public eye, you didn't get hurt. I remember last time that we talked, we mentioned like how you just hadn't missed a routine until like you missed, I think, one.
Yeah.
Your junior year, I believe.
Yeah.
And besides that, you hit everything.
Yeah. My parents were actually like doing the stats with me like after like one of the meets, and they're like, I think you did 197 events out of 198 events, and out of those I fell twice on floor and once on beam. And so it's kind of crazy. That's like less than 5% like fall rate, which is kind of impressive, I guess, too. I didn't even realize, you know, until you like look back at it. But yeah. I don't know.
It's always great to put things into perspective. I don't know if you know this actually, but from the last podcast we recorded, very, very superficially, but I connected with your mom and a bit of your other family, like with your sister on Instagram and stuff.
Yeah.
And she like DM'd me when your episode came out, and I saw that your whole family's into gymnastics.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's that like, getting that mentorship of like after all the meets and all the events and looking at the stats? Like what was that experience like for you?
So my sister goes to Alaska and she does gymnastics also. My mom coaches gymnastics, but my mom like coached gymnastics because I was at the gym so much, and so it's not like she like had a passion for coaching gymnastics. I mean, she loves working with kids and stuff, but it's been, I feel bad for my dad because like he's the only one not involved in it, but it has been nice because everyone can support you. They know what skills you're talking about when you're at home talking. Like everyone's kind of going through the same thing. Like me and my sister can relate in a way like, oh, we just had practice, we have to do this, you know? And so it has been nice to have like a very supportive family and like support system by my side throughout all these years.
What has the perspective provided by your younger sister been like in hard moments or any times of struggle during your gymnastics career?
She has just like always worked hard. She's very tough. Like she is someone that doesn't have a lot of injuries either, knock on wood, but if she does, she'll push through them. Like she's very tough, and she's always looked up to me and like sometimes been compared to me, which she hates. She hates like, oh, you're Nev's little sister. And so like it's like a running joke in our family, like, oh, you thought she had a sister, like, you know. So she has like felt like she's in a little bit of a shadow sometimes, but she made a TikTok actually, which was really nice, and she's like, no, I don't feel like I'm in a shadow, I'm like so lucky. And that's like amazing to hear because I wouldn't want her to feel like that at all. But I feel like I can give her some perspective because I'm on a team, and like going into your freshman year is like very tough on any school you go to, any sport. And so whenever she's like having struggles and stuff, I feel like I can kind of give her some advice because it's hard your freshman year no matter what.
What about the other way around though? Has she ever provided perspective for you?
She does, but not like in a gymnastics way. Like, we don't usually talk about like, oh, maybe you should do this gymnastically. Like, I don't think it would end well for us just because we would probably get in an argument about it. But like in a not a real way, obviously. But like, yeah, we don't usually give like gymnastics advice to each other just because it keeps it like separate and it, yeah.
Yeah, I was asking mostly like projecting myself because my brother, who is also right now a freshman playing soccer as well, and he would sometimes provide perspective for me.
Yeah.
But as an older brother, I always felt like uncomfortable to a certain extent. Like what you were saying, I would always say like, no, I was doing the right thing or this and that. And I would maybe in the moment not admit it, but in the long run, it made sense. And whenever the younger sibling speaks up, you know it's because they really have something to say. If they speak up and point something out to you, it's because they really need to say it to you. Because usually, at least in my personal experience, they keep a lot of things to themselves because of the whole older sibling relationship and stuff. But when they really need to say something, they will. Yeah. And that's when I've learned, like, hey, you got to listen. Yeah. But with the perspective, I guess it's just, like, a personal experience I've had as well, which I love that you mentioned the stats and how everything's put into perspective and how you can look back at your career and be like, that's amazing. Because it's not always that you don't know. It's not always that you can't solve the problem yourself. But when there's somebody else that can provide a perspective from somebody you really respect, I feel like it just allows you to look at things differently and to be like, hey, I'm being a bit too hard on myself. I don't know if you ever experienced that. You mentioned the goals that you didn't make. Yeah. But putting that into perspective, I mean, come on, you missed one event in 4 years. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I definitely know what you're saying about, like, little siblings. Like, when they say something, like, it's kind of like, she'll, wherever, like, oh, where do we want to go to eat? Oh, I don't care. But then if she says, like, oh, we want to go to eat, we're like, oh, we have to go where she wants to go because she never says. So I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an interesting thing, whether it's gymnastics, whether it's the restaurant you want to go to, or whether it's just personal life. Like, whenever they really speak up to say something to an older sibling, you know they mean it.
Yeah, definitely.
With your last season, and you didn't necessarily have too many goals, like you mentioned, and your injuries were, again, avoided once again.
I don't think I answered that very well, too. I didn't have any, like, major injuries, but I am getting surgery on my wrist, which is, like, injury that has been, like, prolonged, like, throughout my years. I've been, like, getting cortisone shots just to, like, kind of keep me going to the end. That's, like, another reason why I'm okay with being done, too, because my body is, like, tired. And even if it's not, like, a major injury, I've done a lot of gymnastics, and my wrist I am going to take care of now, but that was like a injury that I was struggling with that I just pushed through like all of my years just because.
Are you right-handed?
I am.
Does that like affect you in anything besides gymnastics right now?
Yeah, like holding my phone and like writing writing will hurt if I move my hand like this way. Yeah. And I don't know if you could see, but like the bone like is like weird. Like I don't know if you could see it.
Yeah, no, I really can. Wow.
Yeah.
What keeps you pushing through something like that? Because any other sport, you get past the injuries, but with gymnastics specifically, you guys push yourselves to what honestly many other athletes would consider too much. Yeah. It's the nature of gymnastics, but why?
For me personally, I would do that on my own. No one else is pushing me to do it because I don't want to let my team down. I don't want to let myself down. Like, if I were to, like, look back, oh, I didn't do it because my wrist was hurting, like, I'd be like, okay, like, so what? Everyone has something that's hurting, you know? But I don't know. Gymnasts definitely do push themselves to the limits. Like, people from other sports are like, I mean, they'll be like, oh, this was hurting, so I didn't play. And I'm like, oh, really? Like, I didn't know. It probably wouldn't be an option for me. But I did use a lot of like icy hot on it to compete and stuff. And it's kind of crazy because a lot of gymnasts have injuries and you can't even tell through their gymnastics at all. They just perform so well. I think you're like, you have adrenaline and like you practice on it every day. So you're kind of used to like figuring out how you can work around it. But I think just in the moment, that's like kind of the last thing you're thinking about. You're like thinking about like your skills and you're telling yourself what to do and your injury is like the last thing you're thinking about, I think.
Now that you're done, do you think that's healthy?
Definitely not. Definitely not, but it is like part of the sport. Like I think every gymnast would probably tell you like the same thing. Like it's just part of our sport, you know? It's definitely not, and probably like the way we think about some things is crazy.
Yes, it really is, especially because since I got to know you and your team and everybody else just so much better this season or this year.
Yeah.
When I watched you guys compete, I knew if somebody was injured or if somebody was going through something. Every single time I saw like a movement or whatever it was, I would just be like, oh my
like
God.
You could feel it for them.
I could feel it for them. And it was terrible. But what's ridiculous to me is you guys land and there's a smile on your face and you cannot tell.
Yeah.
And that is wild to me.
Yeah.
And it's part of the culture in gymnastics.
Yeah. I want to show you a video afterwards. It's this girl from LSU, and at Nationals on day 1, she does a full in, which is a double back with a full twisting in the first flip, and her foot was broken earlier in the season. She broke her foot in the middle of her routine. Her full in was beautiful. She landed, she had a smile on her face, finishes the whole routine, got a really good score, and her foot was rebroken. And you could not even tell the video from the video. Her routine was so good. It was insane to watch. And I'm like, that is crazy. But it happens. A lot of people do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think there's another sport that does that. Like, you guys quite literally destroy your bodies. And therefore, the mind is affected by those things as well. How do you think that shapes the gymnast personality?
I don't know if it necessarily affects their personality. I think that, I think in the gym you could probably see like you're a little bit more down, and like if you're going through something, of course you're gonna be like less likely to like interact with your teammates because you're like thinking about yourself and like thinking like that something's hurt. But I think outside of the gym, like when we're not like having to be in pain like at the moment, I think everyone is just like normal kind of, you know. I don't know if it really affects us because we grew up thinking like this, you know.
Yeah, it's just so unique to see. It's not even only your team. You were mentioning an LSU gymnast just doing that, and I mean, you see it with the homeschooled gymnast. You see it with all of the injuries. You see it whether you're smiling or crying. Like all these different things. But it's always a ridiculous amount of courage. I'm not even sure if it's that there's so much bravery or that something's being hidden, but the outcome is the same. And it's just unreal to watch, honestly.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just... I will never be in your guys' shoes, and you describe it as if it's okay. But from an outsider point of view, it's like, that's not okay.
I know. Everyone that I talk to that's not a gymnast always is like, that's not okay. That's not okay. But like even my family members are like, okay, you got it. Push through it. You're almost done. Like that was another like thing. Okay, this is my last year. And like, you know, like, okay, I could push through it one more year. But like my family is like that too. And like very tough. And, but I'll talk to other people's families and they're like, you need to go see a doctor. Like, what are you doing? You know? It's crazy.
It is insane. It is. Like, when do you think enough is enough for the body or for the mind for a gymnast?
I just think your mind is, like, a lot stronger than you think it is. And even, like, when we're doing conditioning, like, you're doing your conditioning list and, like, you think that you can't do all 10 leg lifts and you're, like, at 6 and you're struggling and you're like, okay, I just have 4 more and you can, like, make yourself do it. Like, I think your mind is a lot stronger than you think and, like, it can push through a lot of stuff and a lot of pain if it wants to. And I think we're taught that in our sport and, like, that's kind of why. I don't know when the breaking point is. Like Nat, like, competed on fractured feet, like fractured bones and stuff, like without even knowing. She's like, oh, I'm in pain, but I didn't know it was fractured, you know? Or like, and then you have like a really big injury and I think you have to stop if it's like obviously like a career ending injury or like a big injury you need surgery on. You have to stop for a little bit and then you get back in the gym and you do it again.
So the line is drawn when the body physically can quite literally not keep going. But if you can, you keep going.
I think so. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because it's one thing to do leg lifts. Like, you can push yourself to do leg lifts. You can push yourself to wake up at whatever time you have to wake up or get zero amount of sleep or whatever the case may be. You can push your mind and body through that.
Yeah.
But when even I think of your guys' landings on severely sprained ankles or on whatever the case may be, and that is horrible to watch, honestly. Like, that is... Okay, maybe the mind is capable of that. I understand that because I've played on sprained ankles. But it's not something that's like that you can get past quite easily. It's not something you can warm up. It feels horrible.
Yeah, and you're tumbling and your weight is like, it's like 1,000 times your weight. The force that's coming down, like, it is. It's not a good feeling, but we do it.
If there's anything you can change about the culture of gymnastics with that, what would it be?
I think gymnastics definitely has like a bad rep just because of everything that has happened over the years, and as it should, because that's like obviously not okay. But sometimes you're like, oh yeah, I do gymnastics, and they're like, oh, you know that Larry Nassar guy? Like, it's like the first thing that people think. And so I think it would be good to be able to change the culture. And I think a lot of these injuries happen in college gymnastics because you're competing so many weekends in a row, and like, you're not used to doing that. And so maybe like preparing the body to do that at a younger age. Like when I was in club gymnastics, we would go and travel and compete one week and come back, compete again. And I think like it prepared me very well. And I don't think all clubs are doing that. And so I would say like surrounding injuries, I think it's okay to push through. And but if it is like seriously an issue, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. But I would change probably like leading up, like to prepare gymnasts to be able to handle all of the competing that you do in college. Yeah.
In 2022, you guys did not make nationals. What was the reaction?
We were sad, and like I think it made us hungry for more. Like the sophomores this year, they really wanted to make it, and they deserve to make it. They are a great class. Their gymnastics is so good, and they didn't get to make it their freshman year, and like they were sad, and like I think it made us all hungry for more.
You didn't really miss many routines, and you guys had the experience of nationals the year before.
Yeah.
You're headed into your last season. What changed in terms of leadership for you, or did anything change? Did you take a bigger role than you had previously?
I was on like the coaches council, which is our leadership position every year, like available to me, like the sophomore year, junior year, and senior year. And I would say that I didn't take more of a role outside of the gym because I was already kind of doing a lot on the coaches council. Like we'd have to plan things and kind of talk and have meetings. I think that I did have to become more vocal and talk before the meets and kind of check in on people a little bit more, which I kind of felt like I was already doing, just I have to do a little bit more, because Nina used to like talk to us, and like when the seniors leave, they pass on like talking before we do an event. Like if you see us huddling before an event, someone's talking to us, and I think those are like the kind of roles that I wasn't used to doing, and we kind of just figured it out as we went.
Yeah. It's see, knowing you, I know you're not going to fully admit it, but at least from an outsider point of view, it's almost like, and I know in the culture of gymnastics it's different, but you are the senior with the most experience.
Yeah.
And on the team you have the most experience. Well, so in a way it's like, did you ever feel like more of your teammates were looking up to you in terms of advice and like coming to you with questions, or was that not really the case?
Yeah, definitely they would. They go to the other girls too, but definitely like, what are we wearing? What are we doing? Like, this is what Justin and Liz are saying. What should I do? Like I think that they definitely came to me for a lot of stuff, and I don't mind being in that position. Like I kind of like being able to give back, and I do want to be a coach. And so I think this year definitely kind of like prepared me to be able to take on more of a speaking role, just because I'm more of like a person that wants to like lead by example instead of talk. And so this year I kind of got to talk a little bit more, and I think that's going to help me in the long run too.
Yeah, I mean, taking that verbal role helps a lot, obviously. But yeah, I mean, from an outsider point of view, it's just so much more experience, like you said, like only missing that one event and being like that senior. And I think it's different for gymnastics because, I mean, we'll get into how consistent every single season was for you, but in a way, it's like, since every single year you guys destroy your body a bit more and more,
Yeah.
it's almost like the younger you are, the fresher you are, and the more you're able to compete. And then as a senior, you're just pushing through it. I remember talking to Nina last year, and she was like, yeah, we were just pushing through it at this point.
Yeah.
But the advice is there, and the verbal role is there that you probably didn't have before, and things like that.
Yeah.
Once you're in season, what was it like for you with competing? I'm pretty sure the UCLA meet is the most packed it's ever been in your 4 years. So a lot was different, I feel like, with the hype around your team this year. What was that experience like for you?
I think we don't know how good we are. Like, we kind of talk about that sometimes. Like, we don't expect ourselves to be on the second day at nationals. Like, well, that's our goal, but like, okay, like if it happens, it happens, and like we kind of don't know how good we are, I think, and that kind of like could play a role into like I just think like that could kind of play a role. Could you repeat the question again? Sorry, I lost my train of thought in the middle of it.
You're good. It was mostly just about how it felt having all that hype around you guys.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if we know how good we are, but when we did get to the big meets, there's a lot of pressure on us, and like competing with all that pressure can be hard, but we did it all year long, like we got our highest score at the double meet weekend before the senior meet, and then we're going into that second meet like expecting to get a high score, if not higher, and we did it, so I think that we thrive off of pressure a little bit, but it can be harmful if you let it get to yourself, or if you don't like use it to fuel yourself. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying about like knowing how good you are, because like if there's a lot of pressure on you, that means that you guys we're a good team, and we kind of have to expect that out of ourselves to be able to perform at that level too.
Why don't you think that you guys know how good you are?
Well, so one of our core values is humility, and I think we're just all really humble, and we don't like kind of. It's hard when you're watching other gymnasts and they're like, wow, they're so good, and like you can kind of compare yourself to them sometimes, and I think that can be hard. But I mean, our girls on our team are getting 10s like from one judge at a few meets, and like that is really, you're doing a perfect routine. Like you're that good. You're as good as everyone else.
What do you think is the negative side of that humility core value?
I think it is really good because we all enjoy gymnastics, and I think that the negative side of it could be just not being able to kind of embrace like how good you are, and not in like a cocky way at all, just embracing like that you're as good as everyone else, or just like you are so involved in your team that you don't even know what's happening around you, and that could be like another way to be a little bit more selfish and like less humble, to like really like dive right into your team, and like that's your main focus, and don't even care about like what the other teams are doing, which it's hard because you want to appreciate the other teams and stuff too. So I don't know, I think it could be a hard divide.
With the other teams you compete against, especially in the final 8, it almost seems as if other teams could sometimes be overconfident and even a bit cocky. Do you think, like, what do you think would happen if Cal Women's Gym were cocky?
Well, the thing is, we're always underdogs, and so I don't know if I just don't think that's like our team, like I don't think that's how we're gonna be, and like I think that those teams are thinking like, oh, we're competing against teams that are lower than us, ranked lower than us, and like when we compete against someone that's ranked lower than us or ranked as high as us, we're gonna compete the same way each time. And so I don't know if we will have that presence. I think we're kind of working to have more confidence instead of like a cocky vibe, because we don't want to be like a rude team, but I think we're going to try and work on like having a lot more confidence for the next years.
With the meets, especially before we go into postseason, with all the meets you guys had, you had pretty big meets. I mentioned the UCLA one, but you also competed against LSU midseason as well as in postseason. In that meet, it was a very interesting and unique meet in terms of the judging, which I believe we talked about last time as well. What's the deal with that? I mean, we talked about it last time with
Yeah.
the gym internet and things like that. But what is going on with the difference in judging nationwide?
Yeah, the SEC is a lot different judging. It's just very political judging. You know, like we competed at LSU or in Baton Rouge, not at LSU. But they're saying like the home of the Tigers. So we're not even at their home stadium and they're like saying like, oh, it's their home. So it's like, it's not really a fair way to judge because then they're like kind of having home court advantage. They live like 15 minutes away. And when we competed against them, we tied and they went back and did an inquiry. So they ended up winning. So it kind of was unfair of a win. And it does mess with your rankings. It messes with your like win-lose rate. Like it kind of messes with it. And so when you're playing a little bit unfair like that, it's just, I don't know, it's not cool.
Yeah. Do you see that with any other school in the Pac-12 or not really?
I think a lot of schools do have a home court advantage, but I think the scoring is tougher here than it is in the SEC, but you don't see Cal getting a lot of 10s. Like, there's girls on other teams that have, like, 20 10s or however many 10s, and, like, you don't see us getting a lot of 10s, and I think our gymnastics is, like, very clean, and, like, when we went to an away meet, MJ got a 10, so it's like, what if we were getting the same scoring as them? How different would we be?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Do they change the judges every home meet, or is it the same judges season wide?
We kind of get a lot of the same judges just because they live around here, but they're usually like on different events each time, or sometimes we'll get different ones. But those are the judges that are at the big meets too. Like they kind of travel around with you.
Was this? I know you guys went back to back Pac-12 champions.
Mm-hmm.
What is your personal take being on the team about there being 4 Pac-12 champions?
Again, yeah. It's crazy that it happened twice in a row, but I don't know. I think it's cool because we all get to share it and we all get to be Pac-12 champions, and like we'd rather tie than not be Pac-12 champions, you know? So I think that, I mean, when we competed against UCLA, that was like a very tied meet. Like I feel like it was a very even tie. And like, so a lot of the teams this season had really good seasons, not just us. And so, I mean, I didn't see all the meets, but I'm sure it was like a pretty equal tie just because everyone had such a good season this year.
How do you feel about it, though, competitively? Because you said
Yeah.
you'd rather tie than lose, but
Yeah.
I'm sure you'd rather win by yourself
Yeah.
than win with others.
Yeah, we would, but also it's like our second time winning too. And so I don't know, we were just happy to get it anyways, you know? So I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I feel like we were still happy. We were watching the meet. We're like, come on, OSU, we want you to win so we can all tie, you know? We were cheering for the other teams.
That's very interesting as
Yeah.
well. And we've talked about that in the past about how you guys cheer for the other teams,
Yeah.
but it's wild.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
wild to think
It is.
that you'll cheer for your opponents so that you can all win.
I know. Well, also it's like our skills are so hard. Like you're not gonna not want someone to do good because they can get hurt, you know. So it's like our sport is so hard that you just have to be appreciative of other people's gymnastics.
Yeah. When you do go into postseason, you guys have an incredible regionals, and you're headed into nationals.
Mm-hmm.
In that national semis day, what was your personal feeling as an individual when all was said and done and you guys didn't qualify for day 2?
Yeah. Individually, I just wanted to have a good last meet. I didn't know it was going to be my last meet going into it, and I kind of liked that better because then I wasn't like thinking like it's the last time I have to do so good. But as an individual, it was sad. We were all saying goodbye, but I was okay with like how my career went, how the last meet went. We didn't make it to the day 2, but I felt okay. As a team, I feel like we were on a roll. We were winning the first rotation, winning the second rotation, and then we had a fall on bars, and it was like the momentum stopped, and it was like, uh-oh. And we had like the person going last, it's like it's a lot of pressure for them because now their score counts no matter what. And so it's just kind of like you were saying earlier, like having that pressure on you, it makes it hard to compete. And after that, it was like kind of hard to get the ball rolling again. And then after that, we had a talk, like just with the team, like, guys, I mean, it's not over till it's over, but if it is over, let's just enjoy this last event together. This is our last time competing as a team together. And so we just went on beam, and like we had a good beam rotation considering what had happened, and like we knew we kind of weren't going to make it at that point. Obviously anything could happen, but you look around and like all the girls are doing so good, and you don't want anyone to be bad so that you can make it. But it was kind of impressive the way that we finished off on beam considering what happened on bars.
Again, wild to me that you say we don't want anybody else to do poorly so that we do well.
Well, you want to beat everyone when they're at their best. You don't want to beat them because they fell, you know?
Interesting.
I don't know. That's how I look at it. Like, I would rather beat someone when we both have a good meet than, like, they fall and, like, I have a fine meet, you know? Like, you want to beat them when you know, like, you won.
How does it feel to beat them when somebody has a fall and they're not at their best?
I mean, we would have still been happy to go. We would have still been happy, but, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It was sad, but we all got over it, and we were like, this is it. It's our sport, you know? It happens. People have falls, and it's crazy because, like, we didn't have those falls all season long, and it was, like, just this one meet, and so, but there's nothing you can do in the end, you know?
Were you at any point frustrated about that, like your entire career ending that way?
I wasn't frustrated. I was a little sad after bars. I'm giving like the talk to everyone, and like I had like a little like crack in my throat, and everyone's like, Nev, are you gonna cry? Like, we saw that. I'm like, no, I'm gonna keep it together. And then but no, I wasn't frustrated, you know. It kind of, I mean, it's just our sport, you know. It kind of takes the pressure off for the next event, and we can go and do good. Like, okay, we already messed up. Let's just do better on this event. So I wasn't frustrated. I was like more sad.
Yeah. As a vocal leader now, instead of just by example, what did you learn from that situation?
Well, I like went up to the girl, and that was like sad, and I talked to her during the meet, and I'm like, hey, take your time, like we've still got an event to go, so I know you're sad, like take your time to be sad, and then like let's get back into it. And like, so I checked in like with both of the people, and like, and then I was like, okay, we got to regroup as a team now. And so I just wanted to bring everyone like together for last time before we go into the last event, so that we can be in like the right mindset, because it's hard after we were winning. We're literally winning, and then you drop. So I don't know. It was interesting for me because I haven't had to do that all season because we've been doing so good all season. But I mean, at regionals, day one or day two, I don't remember. We were last, like all the way up until the last two rotations, and so it's like you're in an uphill climb. So you're still having to like bring it in. Like, okay, guys, let's stay focused. We're on to the next. So even if you're doing good or bad, it's still like trying to bring everyone in and to stay focused and stay connected, like we kind of talked about at the beginning.
Yeah, it's a hard lesson.
Yeah.
A very hard lesson to live.
Yeah.
Now that it's all said and done, do you have any regrets?
Not at all. No, I am really happy with everything that has happened in my career. I'm really happy to see what's going to happen in the next chapter of my life, and it's time. It's time for me.
How do you know it's time?
I would say just because I have accomplished everything that, I mean, obviously there were some goals that I didn't accomplish, but when I look back at my career, I'm like, I have accomplished a lot, and I've competed a lot, and if COVID didn't happen, I wouldn't even have the opportunity to do this fifth year. And so I kind of needed to like set that fifth year thing aside and be like, okay, am I happy with these 4 years? Yes. Do I want to put my body through another year of gymnastics? No. Am I like, I'm ending on a high note. I ended on a really good meet. I said all my goodbye, all the hardest parts. I said all the goodbyes. I did the senior meet, you know. And so I think those are the hardest parts, and I don't regret it. Like, I don't regret anything at all. I feel like I laid everything out on the line.
Yeah, that's the only way to know, in my opinion, because when you have that mentality going into something knowing it's the end,
yeah,
you try to make the best of it, obviously, But I think that the only way to know that it's time is when you can look back and say, there's nothing else I could have done.
Yeah.
When there's something missing, when you didn't give it your all,
Yeah.
then okay, you go back and you
Yeah.
fix things and you end them as they should. But when you can look back and say, there's nothing left for me to do, I gave it my all, that's exactly when you know that it's your time to step away, because some people try to overdo it.
Yeah.
A real winner knows when to leave.
Yeah.
But when you just keep doing it and keep pushing for more, you could leave on a bad note. But when you leave on the highest of notes, when you know when your time is up and that you've given it your all, I think it's really special.
Well, thank you.
And I think it's equally as valuable to know when to step away as it is to win. And just to be able to recognize, like, hey, that was that.
Yeah.
I'm done.
And I wouldn't have wanted to end any other way. Like, yes, we could have made day 2, but the way that it ended, I mean, we had a fun banquet before the meet. We've had an amazing last season. And, like, it was, I wouldn't have wanted to end any other way than, like, on a high for myself, you know? Yeah.
Switching the topic, NIL.
Yes.
You've been very involved in that. I've seen you very active on social media with all of that. What has NIL meant to you in the few years that we've had it available?
Yeah. Personally, I tried to take advantage of all the NIL opportunity because I can use gymnastics as my brand right now, and I'm not going to be able to do that forever. And so I feel like that is a good platform, like, to stand on. You kind of have a lot of little gymnasts that are following you, and so, like, it just is, like, a really good platform to stand on and, like, kind of, like, give back to them and, like, talk to them about, like, when you post, like, things, you want to be inspirational for them, you know? And I think that over the last few years, it's been, like, growing and there's more rules and stuff, and it's gonna be difficult because colleges are gonna be saying, oh, we make this much NIL money a year, or come to our school because we can pay you through an NIL deal of some sort. I think it's going to make that difficult, but personally, I've liked, like, kind of getting the benefits from it, and I don't mind, like, making videos, and, like, today, like, I'm doing a day in the life, and I don't mind doing it all. I don't think it's going to be, like, my career in the future, like, doing influencing at all, but I like kind of doing all the NIL stuff right now.
So even if you do go into coaching, you don't see yourself continuing to build a brand for yourself?
I think so. Oh, I definitely, like, want to coach, and then if that's, like, on the side, I just don't think that I see myself being, like, stopping everything and doing social media, you know?
Yeah, I think it's a very underrated thing to do with a job now, like, being able to do your marketing through social media while you're doing something else. Like, what you're doing right now, you're doing it as a student athlete.
Yeah.
No reason why you should stop as a coach, don't you think?
Yeah, no, definitely. If I could get deals and stuff, like, going forward, I would love to work with people. And, like, there's some brands that, like, I'll keep reaching out to just because, like, I want to work with them. And even if they say no, like, I'm like, oh, okay, well, they align with, like, my values, and, like, I would want to work with them. And, like, I don't know. I think that it's definitely something that you could keep doing afterwards.
Reaching out to brands, I know we've talked about this on the side, but how does it work for you? Do you typically reach out to the brands, or do they reach out to you? What's that experience like?
It goes both ways. Sometimes they DM you, and also you have to kind of, like, make sure that you're not getting scammed too. But, like, sometimes they'll reach out to you, or if there's somewhere that you, like, really want to work, like, I wanted to work with Bang at the beginning of everything, and so I reached out to them, and then they give you, like, an application, or sometimes you reach out to people and they say, oh, no, we don't have anything right now, but keep checking in with us. And, like, so I think it could go either way. A lot of my teammates, like, have gotten reached out to, or we have a collective at our school that we can kind of see, like, what opportunities there are and decide if you want to do it or not too.
With the whole change, not only in NIL, but in social media, what's your personal opinion on the verification process, like, on Instagram and things like that right now?
I feel like it makes, like, the verification less special now that you can buy it. I think Instagram, like, just kind of wanted to make money, and, like, definitely a lot of people are buying it, so they probably made a lot of money off of it. But I wanted to be verified, like, for so long, and then now that you can buy it, it's like, oh, people don't even know if you bought it or if it's real or whatever. So I don't know. I feel like it kind of makes it weird, because that doesn't mean that they're actually a verified person because they're paying $15 a month. Like, it could be a bot account, and has a check mark too, so it's weird.
I think the saddest part of the new verification process on Instagram is that Instagram made, I believe, $660 million in the first day.
That's crazy.
That
and they're
is
going to keep
so
making money
sad.
too. Yeah.
It is so sad how people want to be something they're not, in a way. And I'm sure, did you get the notification on Instagram like, oh, you can apply now?
Yeah.
I got it, and like, it just doesn't feel the same. And I'm honestly surprised you didn't get verified beforehand, because you have a decent following as well. So I don't know.
I don't know either. I tried, like, I would apply so many times, or even when we, like, apply through the school and they would, like, go through and do it for athletes. I never got it. I don't know why.
Yeah. No, that is very weird.
Yeah,
and unique.
And my Instagram's been, like, hacked before and stuff too. So I'm like, I want, like, I want some kind of something. I don't think it would, like, make it secure, but, like, maybe just to know. Or, like, Nat, like, has people that are impersonating her on Instagram. So it's like, it could be good. Yeah, like, they'll make, like, accounts under her name. What? So it could be, like, good for that kind of reasons. But now just, like, buying it, I don't know if it's worth it. I don't really want to spend that much money a month to buy it either.
I didn't know that was happening to her. That's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, it's happened to, like, a few people. I don't know if you ever see, like, on Instagram where people are like, someone's impersonating me, please report this account. Like, it happens kind of often.
Yeah, no, I definitely do see that, and that sucks. But I didn't know it was happening to people this close to us, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, social media is something else. I love it. I obviously love it, but there's some things that it's like, come on, like, how is this even happening? And I'm not going to mention it here, but, like, even when we got dinner with Nat and, like, the other social media thing, I don't know if you remember what we talked about with, like, some of the posts, and it's like, dude, come on.
I know. I think social media is obviously fake, like, everyone talks about it, and it really is a highlight reel, but, I mean, also, you don't want to, I mean, that's what it's all about, you know, and so it is hard. You have to kind of, like, draw a line between it, like, you know, it's fake kind of thing.
What's your relationship with that? Because many people are insecure with it. I think from a very ignorant point of view, just like without looking at stats or anything, my personal feeling is that both boys and girls are affected by the anxiety that could be brought by likes and that adrenaline, and I think it's even dopamine that, like, you just get from all the likes, the comments, the views, etc.
Yeah, that's like TikTok. You get, like, little bursts of dopamine just looking at each one, and you could stay on it all day long. Yeah. I
mean, both sides, I feel like, get that.
Yeah.
But specifically, I've talked to plenty of girls that find either insecurities with, like, other posts or things like that, and just, like, don't have a great relationship with social media because it's fake. But you just said right now, like, hey, it's fake. We know it's a highlight reel, so just play that game.
Yeah.
So what's your relationship like with that?
I can see, like, all of those points. I personally don't have a bad relationship with social media, but I'm also, like, so, like, I don't really care what people think of me. I post 3 times a day if I want, or I'll post, like, weird captions. Like, I don't really overthink it too much. I feel like it's, like, just kind of more for fun for me. I like posting, and, like, I don't really look too much, like, about the views or the likes. Like on TikTok, you can see it right there. So it's like, oh, I'm going viral, like that, whatever, if you are or not. But, like, so, like, if it's, like, shown up like that, I feel like a lot of people care more about it. Like, I'll find myself even being like, oh, I wonder if it's, like, getting more views, you know? But, like, I don't think about it too much. I don't have too bad of a relationship with, like, comparing myself to others. But, like, I do know a lot of people that do struggle with that. But personally, I don't really care too much about what people think about me. Even, like, when we go, like, out, like, I'll dance weird and I'll just be so weird sometimes, but that's just who I am.
I mean, it's better to be that way because it really doesn't matter. I think that mentality of, if you know it's a game, then just play it anyways is so much healthier because it is. Yeah. Like, that is all that it is, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, social media is an interesting game, if you want to call it that. What advice would you have for anybody looking to get into NIL or even grow their NIL deals?
Yeah, I would just say put yourself out there, like, reach out to people if you want to work with them. Growing your Instagram, if you make reels, those will grow your Instagram a lot more than just a picture. And kind of just build your brand around who you are And I talk about I've talked about this in a lot of classes. I took an NIL class this year, and so just kind of staying true to your brand. And like if a brand that wants to work with you doesn't align with your values, then maybe don't work with them. And like you can create your brand just like figuring out like what you like to do, who you are, and just kind of go off of that.
Yeah. No, it's a very special and unique relationship in today's day and age. I'm sure like a year from now it'll change. In 2 years it'll change. So
yeah,
we'll definitely see where all of that goes. The next stage of your life, what's that looking like?
Yeah. Well, I want to coach college gymnastics, but it's kind of hard to break into that world of college and coaching and just in general. That's all hard. But I am going to move back home as of right now and coach at my club gym. And then I don't know. I don't really have any set plans yet. I'm reaching out to colleges and maybe here, maybe closer to where I live. I don't know yet.
What is your relationship to coaching? What drives you to do that in the first place?
Well, when I was little, I always wanted to be a gymnastics coach. I just didn't know it was going to be on a college level. And coming to college, that's kind of what made me feel like, oh, I want to help cultivate a culture that is like a team that I'm on. 'Cause that was like amazing to come into a team and feel so welcomed. And it's not like we were like the best team. We built up to be where we are today. And so like, I would kind of want to be able to give back and create like, take a school that's maybe not ranked top 10 and like make them good, and like they get to be a part of history and like have that culture and like relationships with their teammates that like that you build throughout the years, because not every team has that. And so I kind of would like to like help these girls find their way into doing that.
What do you think that projects about your own personal career?
I feel like maybe I kind of wanted to also like make history with my team. And when I was coming in, Justin said like, do you want to be on a, like when I was picking schools, he's like, do you want to be on a team that's already good, or do you want to be on a team that's going to make history? And like I definitely did. I wanted to be a person that gets to play and like, or do gym, but like, you know, get play time. I wanted to like be someone that contributed to the team. And so I want to be able to do that while I'm coaching, to like contribute and like help these girls achieve their goals in like a fun and positive way. 'Cause it's in college, it's not always fun and positive, and it's not going to be, but like I would like to bring a little bit more of that into the college world.
What would that be your dream as a coach?
To take a team and have them like move up the rankings. Yeah, that would be my dream. I would like to be a head coach, but I also want to stay in California too. So if I'm an assistant coach in California, that's okay too. I don't know.
How long down the road do you think you'd be a head coach? Like not right away, right?
No, definitely not. It's like usually you become a volunteer assistant, then an assistant, then like associate, head coach, whatever it is. But I would like to be getting paid. I don't know if I will or not, but I'm going to be working like at my club gym too, where I'll be making money. So even if I have to volunteer for a year, then that's just what I have to do to get to the next step.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and I know it's something we talked about last time, so it's very cool to see. Being 100% done with the sport of gymnastics, what do those words make you feel?
I mean, I just never thought this day would come. I really didn't. Like, it seemed like so far away, you know, even like going into the season, like I was like, I just don't think it's going to come anytime soon. And like, even at the last meet, everyone's like, I don't think it's hit you. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it has. Like, maybe it hasn't hit me yet, but like, I think I like kind of worked hard all these years to get to enjoy it. Like, I kind of feel like I'm in retirement right now. Like, every day I wake up, I can do whatever, and like, I'm just in like retirement, but I feel like I earned it. Like I'm so glad that I made it all these years just so that I can like enjoy what comes next, you know? And like, it is a sad feeling because you know you're never going to compete, you're never going to be with the girls again, but I'm also like really excited for what's to come too.
Yeah, it's almost like you're comfortable because you know that there was nothing left to do. You gave it your all.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it's a very unique spot to be in. It's something I've experienced this semester as well, and it's like definitely like retirement, or what I think retirement will be, because so chill and you have liberty.
Yeah.
You can do anything you want.
Exactly.
At least for like a few weeks.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, are you not coming back for another year, or are you?
So I'm doing a master's here for 2 years, but I'm done
yay.
with soccer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how have you been doing with that?
It's an interesting experience because I did not go into my senior day thinking that it was going to be my last game.
Yeah.
But looking back precisely, like what you said, I accomplished some of my goals over the past summer with soccer.
Yeah.
And then that last game that we played, it was just like a great game for me.
Yeah.
And I remember getting subbed off, and my coach is just looking at me like, what the hell was that? Like, that was such a great game. And I just thought to myself, like, what else do I have left to do?
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I'm nowhere near the athletic accomplishments that others are. Like, for example, like, you had the complete opposite career that I did, in the sense that you like only didn't participate in one event.
Yeah.
I didn't participate in so much because of my freshman year redshirt, my sophomore year pandemic as well, and then tearing my meniscus.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it was just a mess overall, but I learned so much and I gave it so much that as soon as I stepped off that field, I was like, I don't think there's much more to give. And I thought about it quite a bit over break, and I just felt ready.
Yeah.
I felt ready to take the next step, and thankfully I'll be here for another 2 years.
Yeah.
With the Masters, which I'm excited about. It's a new phase in my life. But when you really give it your all, and you look back and it's like, yep, there's nothing else I could have or should have done.
Yeah.
It's very easy to let go, and I think that's the case with sports, with college, with certain relationships, with anything in life.
Yeah.
When you give it your all and you know there's nothing left, then not much to complain about.
Yeah. And, like, everyone's path is different. I don't think there's a typical college path for anyone, because everyone's looks so different. Like, when you go into college, you probably have so many things happen that you never would have thought would even happen ever, like good or bad. Like, you just have no clue what's to come. And, like, every single person's path is so different. Like, mine's not a typical college thing. Yours isn't a typical college path. Like, because there isn't one, there's just so many different things that can happen throughout these 4 years.
Because no one is youer than you.
No one's youer than you.
Yeah. With all these like personal things and what makes everybody unique, something I completely forgot to ask you last time, which is a bit more obvious now because it's on your wrist this time, is your tattoos.
Yes.
What's your relationship like with your tattoos? Do you view them as reminders, as accomplishments? Take me through that.
So I think each one's like kind of different. They all mean something, but I'm not like, now that I got one, I'm like, oh, okay, I have like less nervousness to get another one. But I have one of my ribs that's like a sun and a moon, and when my grandma passed away, she used to say, I love you to the moon and back, and you're my sunshine. So I kind of got both of those. And then I have one behind my ear that is like the judge's writing of a 10-0 vault. And so that was like a cool moment for me that I wanted to kind of remember forever. And then I've got a golden bear, just because I'm going to be graduating, and I knew when I graduated I wanted to get a golden bear just like as a memento. And I have one on my ankle that is like with my best friend from home, just because we've been best friends for so long, and like, I mean, we're not going to not be best friends at this point, so I just like, it doesn't, it means something to us. And we got another one together that is like 2 butterflies on our ankle, and that one we got together and like they're flying apart from each other like on our ankles, and like, because we've ever since we went to college, like we've been apart and stuff. And also my grandma that passed away, like when she passed away, we saw like butterflies all the time, and then her mom passed away, and so I was like, oh, that could be like 2 butterflies. I also have another one on my foot, and it's a moon and the miles to the moon and back, and that I got with my sister because this was like her first tattoo, and that's what she wanted to get, and we got it together. And then I think that's all. Now I'm like kind of forgetting. Yeah, I think that's all. Yeah.
That's funny because, especially for me, I'm not tatted.
Yeah.
So, like, when some people, like, tend to even forget, like, I have other friends that definitely have plenty, and they're like,
Yeah.
wait, is that all of them? And
Yeah,
I'm like,
like-
how would you forget? But, I
I
mean, it's
know.
just part of you at this
Yeah.
point that
Yeah.
it's so easy. What age were you when you got your first one?
I was 17, but I was in Hawaii and my grandpa paid for it. Like, my grandpa's just, like, not a normal grandpa. Like, I don't know if you've met him ever or seen him at the meets, but, like, have you been on the Lovely Martha boat?
I'm going to go
Okay.
in about a week or so.
Yeah, so you're gonna get to meet him, but he is like, he swears at us and like, it's just not a normal grandpa. I'm like, no one else's grandpa acts like this. But yeah, so he bought me my first tattoo in Hawaii and I was 17 and my parents have tattoos and stuff. And so that they were all for it and it like meant something to me. So they don't care either, but.
Besides in the moment and the meaning they have, what relationship do you have to them? I've had previous guests say, for example, Christian Gomez in early days, episode 2, would describe his body as a museum and
Yeah.
would view it as artwork on the life that is his museum.
Yeah.
And I've had other people say, like, oh, it's a reminder that I get to look at every single day. For
Yeah.
example, Olympians, when they have the rings, they look at it and it's
Yeah.
like, well, this reminds me of what I'm capable of, what I've done in the past, and what I can continue to do in the future.
Yeah.
So there's like both aspects to that. What's your relationship with them?
I would say mine is more of like a chapter closing kind of thing to remember. And like you said, like the memories that come along with getting them. Like I got this one in Texas with my team, like after the meet. Like it's just like, I don't know, it was a fun thing to do, but like on my body, I do like forget that they're there because they're like a part of me now. But definitely like as more of something like as a chapter closes. Like I'm graduating, so I wanted like to get the bear and like my friend, like we're gonna be friends forever, but like we don't live together. You know, like she lives in Vegas now, but she used to live in Arizona and stuff. And then like the tattoo with my sister, it was her first one, and like that's kind of cool. And so I just wanted to like do that with her, and I see them more as like something that's closing kind of, because like the 10-0 like kind of represents my club experience. This is my college experience, and yeah, I have more that I want to get to, but yeah, we'll see.
What else would you want to get?
I've been like really liking angel numbers and I see them a lot. And so my angel number is 888 and it means like balance and prosperity and like all of that. And I'm like, maybe that's something that I'd like to like have on me as I go into my next chapter of life. And then also like me and Nat were thinking about getting a tattoo, and yeah, so those are like some that I'm thinking about right now.
Interesting. From all the tattoos you mentioned that you do have right now, only one is visible.
Yeah.
Is that on purpose, or what was that like for you?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to just have them a little bit more hidden, especially like when I was doing gym, because it's not that it's like not accepted, it's just like I didn't really want them to like be overwhelming, you know? But then I was like, oh, I'm not going to be doing gym anymore. And like, I wouldn't have even been able to get this, I feel like, because my grips would like rub against it. So I like was like, oh, I'm done with gym now. I can get it in like a spot that's like more visible. And I feel like they're like kind of more accepted in like jobs and stuff now too. So I just kind of like not having them show. But also I feel like I'm going to start getting some that show a little bit more now too that I'm done.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting relationship with society and what you mentioned now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember, I don't know if this was the case for you, but I remember when I was very young, they were still like looked down upon in a certain way, like with society, and it was so confusing. Like looking back at it now, it's like, why do you care?
Why does it matter? Yeah. No, yeah, like working at jobs, you'd have to wear long sleeves or like wear a Band-Aid to cover it up. Like certain jobs wouldn't want you to have it. I remember that too.
Yeah, it's just so crazy how much has changed in our lifetime.
Yeah.
With tattoos, with certain haircuts, with shaving,
technology, like all of it. Yeah.
Like just the appearance in and of itself. But you're right, like even Zoom calls and like wearing shorts and then a proper shirt or something, like definitely a very unique thing.
Yeah. Like clothes, like you're saying too, they're always like forever changing, or like things will come back in style. Like that, my mom's like, oh, I used to wear that when I was like whatever age. And I'm like, oh, really? But I just wear like weird stuff sometimes. I just kind of wear whatever I think is going to look good.
Do you think there's a certain status quo within the gymnastics culture where you have to wear a specific look, or like you mentioned with the tattoos or
Yeah.
haircuts, piercings, etc. Do you think there is something like that or no?
I think there used to be, but now there's like people that are like really good at gymnastics that have those kinds of things, and so I think like it's like not as well. I don't think it was ever like really looked down upon, but like you keep them small and like you don't want them everywhere. But then people started getting them, and like Jordan Childs is like an Olympian, and she has like a lot of tattoos, and like nobody cares, you know. So I think now that like they see people that are really good do it, then it's like starting to become more and more okay.
It's crazy how it only takes one person, for example, Jordan
Yeah.
Childs, that she's so good and she has tattoos, so it's
Yeah.
like, oh, so why would you care? But
Yeah.
if she wasn't as good, maybe they would be looked down upon, which
Yeah.
is very sad to think of.
Yeah, right. And even like piercings, like there used to be rules you can only have one stud in your ear at a time, and then like we went to meet and Justin's like, oh no, you have a lot of studs in your ear, and Liz is like, no, it's okay, like it's fine, it's allowed. Or like I have a nose piercing, and like that wasn't always allowed too. You'd have to put like a clear one in and stuff too. So
It's wild to think that literally all it takes is one person to change the entire
Yeah.
status quo. Like, it is wrong only because nobody has proved that it isn't
Yeah.
wrong otherwise.
yeah, and it's probably scary to be that first person too. And like we've talked about that like in my NIL class that I was talking about earlier. When people do make stands and you agree with them, like it's important to be an ally. Like if you have a platform too, like you can use your platform to stick up for them. Like if you agree with what they're saying, like you should be a part of it, you know?
Yeah. It's an interesting role that platforms play
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
A bit more of a personal question, and if you don't want to touch on this, it's fine. But what is your relationship like with faith?
I believe in God. I'm not super religious. I wouldn't really go to church that often, like when I was young, because like we'd be at meets on the weekends and stuff too, and like we just didn't really go. But I did go to Vacation Bible School like leading up to that. Like when I was young, I went to Vacation Bible School, and then like I always wanted to go to Hume Lake, and I got to go to Hume Lake, and I was definitely like more open when I like going to those camps and stuff, because like you're there with a bunch of people and you're just like kind of learning about it. And I just like wasn't super surrounded by it, but like my grandma was Catholic, and so my family members like above my parents were, but my parents always gave me like the option to choose. And like I believe in God and I pray, but I just don't go to church, and I'm terrible for that. But but I should do more about that. But yeah.
I don't think you can even say you're terrible because of that, because everybody has their own relationship with religion, and
Yeah.
quite frankly, that's one thing that I am not scared to criticize or judge
Yeah.
openly. Like, I think nobody should be judged by their relationship.
Yeah.
Whether it is or isn't existent shouldn't be the case. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy to see how, for example, there are stickers all the time on cars that say something about like honk for Jesus, or like,
Yeah.
oh, Jesus is our savior, something like that.
Yeah.
But if you had a sticker that said the complete opposite, like Jesus isn't real or something like that,
Yeah.
people would get extremely
Yeah.
angry.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why? Like, if people are accepting of your beliefs,
Yeah.
why would you not be accepting of theirs? So
Yeah.
for you to say like, oh, it's terrible for me to not do that, like, I don't think it's terrible.
Yeah,
That's your personal
yeah.
relationship with it, and,
Yeah.
and that's that.
I feel like it's probably just like what is expected of you if you do, you know? And like I don't know. I feel like I used to think like if I didn't, like, I don't know. I guess it just depends on like what kind of people you're surrounding yourself with. But like I didn't go to church, and like the people that did would be like, oh, like kind of like more judgy about you not going, you know? But I guess it doesn't really matter. Like it is your own relationship. So
When people are pushy about going to church, what's funny to me is like, just ask them why.
yeah. Like, why do you want me to go?
And
Yeah.
no, and genuinely be curious and see
Yeah.
like why.
Yeah.
And what's surprising is they don't have an answer. And
Yeah.
I'm saying this as I went to a Catholic school in high school, like kindergarten through senior
Yeah.
year. And if you really just like look at somebody and ask them why,
Yeah.
there's not really a concrete answer, which is always interesting. If they can,
Yeah.
that's amazing and that's awesome for them. But I think it's interesting how different athletes use faith in comparison to non-athletes per se.
Yeah.
Because many people just follow that path of, oh,
Yeah.
because of my family, oh, because of the
Yeah.
school I went to and my friends and my culture. It's pretty much culture.
Yeah.
But with athletes, and that's why I was asking, with athletes, it's almost like an extra source of motivation. It can take the pressure away at times to just have that sense of belief.
Yeah.
And praying could be like meditation or a mantra.
Yeah.
And it's like, fundamentally, it's the same thing.
Yeah. And I don't think I have like that kind of relationship, like I am not that strong in my faith at all. Like I think that maybe that's something that I can explore more now that I'm done too. Like I felt like before, like it was like something that is like pushed to the side because I have all this other stuff going on, and like I think religion is kind of like a purpose. It gives you a purpose in life. And like, I felt like that was already like kind of taken up, like with gymnastics, like, okay, this is my purpose right now. And like, I think it's something that I'm definitely going to like explore more and like learn more about and like get into more as I'm done too, which like is kind of different of what you're saying. 'Cause you're saying like people like rely on that as something that they can rely on. Like, yeah.
Well, it's not something that people will tell you like, oh, it is my motivation. But when
Yeah.
you really listen to the why behind people,
Yeah.
it tends to be motivation.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't know if I can hit this routine,
Yeah.
but it's in God's hands.
Yeah.
So it takes the pressure away
Yeah.
and it takes the stress away, and
Yeah.
you can focus on doing whatever your routine is
Yeah.
confidently.
Yeah.
Or you can say, I don't know,
Yeah.
like it's God's plan, and
Yeah.
it just takes everything
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, I know. I think that is good, but I'm the opposite. I'm like, this is on me. This is me. I'll tell myself before I go, I'm like, okay, you totally got this. And like, no, you're going to make your team before you get on the beam. You've worked through this. Like, I'm in like the opposite of that way for some reason. I don't know why.
What makes you believe?
In God?
Yeah.
I think just it is like a sense of hope, like you hope that there's something after, you hope that someone is up there and like you get to see your loved ones after, and like in times of like need and like in times of like being grateful, it's like something that you can like thank for everything that's happened, or that you could be like, please help me in this time. Like it's just like something that is like there, and like that's why I say like I don't do enough, because like I don't think about it a lot, it's just like in good times or in bad times. Like I don't really think about it in the middle times.
That's exactly what I mean by motivator.
Yeah.
Because in bad times, it's that hope that keeps you going.
Yeah.
In good times, it's that reflection of gratitude.
Yeah.
And that meditation or mantra or whatever
Yeah.
it may be. Like, I think, and it's funny, and I'll pick your brain with this and see how you feel, but you mentioned that it's just in case like there's something afterlife, like that afterlife that is waiting for us, and being able to see some people and etc.
Yeah.
What if there were an afterlife to your collegiate career?
Like
Like not heaven, but I mean like a few years from now.
Yeah.
Let's say that this retirement is the death of your collegiate gymnastics career.
Yeah.
And there is an afterlife
Yeah.
where all of the previous collegiate gymnasts and all of the previous Golden Bears are there.
Yeah.
And you can do gymnastics with them. Think about that relationship and
Yeah.
how much it would change your previous season, in the sense that you knew that it was the very end.
Yeah.
So you made the best of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes like my personal relationship is, I like to think to myself, maybe there isn't an afterlife, and that's what makes me make the best out of the
it right
moment
now.
I'm here.
Yeah. Because you don't know. You really don't know.
No.
No one knows. And yeah, I know. I look at it like, because I lost a lot of people like from a young age, or like in a short span of time, like I just like want to see them again, whether it's like you get to live there, or just like when you're passing into wherever you go next, like I just want to like say hi like one more time, like that's like all I would want to do. But like I don't know, because I think that's what makes life important, is like, or makes life like meaningful, is because it's not forever.
Yeah, you feel the most alive when you're closest to death.
Yeah.
And that's what makes knowing that the end is near, whether it's college, whether it's a sport, whether it's life, a chapter, a relationship, whatever it is, that's what makes it even better.
Yeah, I agree.
It's an interesting take, and I just like to pick people's brains with that. I think everybody has their own relationship. I don't think there's right or wrong.
Yeah.
But it's interesting seeing how it plays a role, especially in athletes.
Yeah.
Because, it keeps people going.
Yeah, definitely.
As we close out, I have, as you may remember, a few questions that I do at the end.
Mm-hmm.
and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Now, I believe I asked you this last time, but after everything you've been through now and having the knowledge that you have now as a verbal leader and being able to witness so many different classes and their experiences as well as your own,
Yeah.
what is your definition of success?
Oh, wow. That's a good one. I would say my definition of success in this sport and at this school would be just making the most out of these 4 years. And if you leave here feeling like you learned anything, because whether it's in school or in sports, like sometimes you kind of put your mind in one place. Like I've definitely learned a lot in school, but I didn't know that I was learning until like I look back. I'm like, oh wow, okay. But I think like kind of leaving feeling like you're leaving with something. Like you want to leave like with memories and with friendships and like with knowledge. Like that's like what success means. Like at this school, I think. Yeah.
What lessons do you think you're taking with you?
I would say that I am taking like leadership and being a part of a team, because I wasn't always part of a team, and it's hard to be able to delegate. It's hard to be able to rely on other people. I don't know, for me it's hard, but I would say just like kind of being a part of a team and like knowing what it feels like to be the person coming in and like how you felt. And so like looking back, like how as an older person, how you want to make the younger people feel when they're coming in too. And I feel like that's going to be important like later on in life. And gymnastics, it's really hard to get appreciation because you're doing something to get a perfect score. And so everything that you do is under a perfect score usually. And so I would say like you rarely get good jobs in your sport, like at practice and anything. It's always a correction. And so I think I want to be like really appreciative of like everyone that has supported me and it's going to support me and like who I'm working with in the future too.
With that last portion of not getting many good jobs,
Yeah.
was there ever a struggle for you with tying your self-worth with your performance?
Definitely. When I got here, I just could not tell how I was doing. Like, you look to the coaches to, like, see how you're doing, and they don't give you anything. Like, you can't tell. And, like, I had a meeting with them, like, my freshman year, and I thought I had a good year. And it was, like, towards the end of the season, and they're like, your gymnastics is plateauing. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know. You know, like, it's like you're looking to someone else to see how you're doing. And I learned that quickly. Like, you have to be here doing gymnastics for yourself, because also yeah, like if you listen to like what people are saying and like the tone that they're saying it in, you kind of have to like get rid of the tone and just take like the correction in. I learned that too. But like definitely just you have to do it for yourself. Otherwise you're just not going to be satisfied with anything, because people are always going to have things to say. Like you're always going to have a correction, and it is hard. It's just a hard sport in general too, because you are trying to be perfect.
Do you have a specific rule or anything for yourself to know who to listen to and who to take advice from versus who not to listen to and who not to take advice from?
I don't. I am usually like the person that's listening and giving advice. I have like, I don't know. I don't really go to a lot of people for advice, but like people that I like really value their opinion, I'll go to like and ask for advice from, like people that I like respect and like I see like working hard, or like someone that I know that knows how to do this skill. Like I'll ask them like, hey, like can you watch my Rudy? What do you think I'm doing wrong? Like anyone that like can that I've seen do it, or like that has been there for me in the past, like I know that I can go to. I feel like I don't know.
No, it is like for sure.
Yeah.
You have to. I just feel like you have to make the distinction between knowing who you would and wouldn't take advice from. Like, if you wouldn't take advice from this person, then don't take criticism from them either.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
True.
And just, like, having that balance in your head of,
yeah,
yes, I'll listen to you. No, I won't listen to you.
I'm not listening to you. Yeah.
With the leadership, you mentioned just to a certain extent what I like to call being the leader you wish you once had. Being the leader you wish you needed.
Yeah.
Who was that leader that you once needed? Like, what would that person be for you?
Like, are you like name a person, or like what qualities?
I mostly meant the qualities, but
Yeah.
if there is a person that embodied them, feel free.
Yeah. Well, I feel like there were times like that I like wanted a leader like at a meet, like you could like be feeling like not your best and like it's like the energy's down and you're like I need someone to like pick it up and like so it's like okay, like a regroup, like let's talk, let's bring it up. But like I feel like Nina was like a really great leader. She was empathetic, she was understanding, she like you could talk to her about anything, like trustworthy, isn't gonna go and like tell people what you say and like I I feel like I would want a leader to be like all of those qualities and I feel like she was like one of the best leaders that we ever had on our team.
From the lessons that gymnastics gave you in your life, what do you see applying to your day-to-day life moving forward?
Definitely routine. Like already I'm like I want to like work out like a few times a week and time management. I cannot not be productive. Like I think I have like a natural source of like, you know, people take Adderall to like get them like, you know, when they're prescribed it to get themselves going, but like I feel like I have a natural sense of that. Like there's not a time that I'm like not doing something and like I feel like every day I try to be like as the most productive as I can and so I feel like I probably got that from gymnastics, you know. And then also just hard work, like even from a young age, like my parents never let me quit. They taught me to just work hard and like it'll all pay off and it definitely paid off for me and I think that it's going to keep paying off in the long run too.
What do you see yourself doing fitness-wise now that gymnastics is done?
Yeah, I want to join like Orange Theory or a workout class that like I know I'll have to go to, but so far I've been like doing my own workouts and it's been okay. Like those classes are like kind of expensive too and I'm like saving up. My goal in like the next 5 years is to buy a house and I know everyone thinks I'm crazy but that's like my goal and so that's like what I'm gonna really be focused on. I think like just like kind of making money and saving my money and yeah, that's what I'm like working on.
What drives that goal?
I think that I mean my parents bought a house from like a young age and I also think like it's money that you're investing into yourself because I mean that's your money. You could take the money out of the house if you want and it's like a place that is yours. You can do anything with that you want with it and like you don't want to waste your money like paying rent for the rest of the next 5 years when you could be like saving that money too. But I don't know. I wanted to buy a house like I decided that I wanted to do it in the next 5 years, like recently, because I started like making money from like NIL and stuff. And I was like, oh, like this could be doable, you know? So I think just I want to have something that is like mine that I can do whatever I want with and it's a good investment.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I would say like the reason people would react differently is because the way the economy was when your parents were young versus what we're going into, like especially with housing, is very different. But or at least I think so.
Yeah.
But no, I mean that's a great goal to have, and if you can.
Well, and California too, it's so expensive, and I know why people react that way, but I'm trying anyways.
Well, I mean, to a certain extent, don't you feel like everybody else reacted that way to the goals you had previously?
Yeah, definitely.
I've always had that experience where if anybody calls one of my goals crazy, it's like, yeah, but you've done that for the past 4 goals and I still accomplished them.
Yeah.
So what's the difference now?
Definitely.
Like I feel like we don't put that enough into perspective to go back into that where in elementary school people thought we were crazy. In middle school people thought we were crazy. High school people thought we were crazy. College people thought we were crazy. Yeah. Moving forward, people will think we were crazy.
Yeah.
Why would anything change now?
Yeah. And when you're so like determined and like if that's what you want to do, you're gonna be able to do it.
Yeah.
Like whether it's in your time period or not, like if you want to get it done, you will eventually.
And that's the funniest part to me because it's like people will then call you lucky and be like, how did you do it? Like, I wish I could do it as well. And it's like, if I've been doing it all these years back to back to back to back, like, what did you think was going to change now? Like, why would it change now out of all the times?
That used to kill me. Like, in high school, you're lucky you have a college scholarship. You're so lucky. Oh, I'm not lucky. Like, you're missing all the times that, like, I didn't get to go hang out with my friends or I didn't get to sleep in on a day that I want, you know? Like, you're missing all those other times. And I think people just probably don't understand.
Yeah, no, it's always luck. It's always privilege. It's always fortune. But they weren't there for all these
Yeah.
times, and I'm sure you've dealt with it as well, like people even coming up to you now and saying that, and it's like,
Yeah.
cool. So I mean, I'm not like, sure, I think it's a crazy goal, but I think your other goals were crazy too, and you
Yeah.
still did them, and I'm not like doing it from a critical point of view. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh wow, that's a very
Yeah.
interesting goal, but like I just said, that's the case
Yeah.
for every single goal people like us tend to set for ourselves.
Yeah,
So.
definitely.
Very last one. Your time at Cal is up.
Yes.
What would you like to be remembered for?
I think I would like to be remembered for my consistency, because I think that was what I did best. And I was like the lead off on almost every event because they knew that they could trust me to go first and have the rest of the lineup to, like set them off on a good start. And even like throughout my club career, I was very consistent, and I think it was just like the way I was taught gymnastics. And so I think that is what I'd like to be remembered for.
Well, that's pretty much all I have for you. Is there anything else you'd like to touch on or anything I missed?
I don't think so. Thank you so much for having me.
I mean, it's a pleasure to be able to do it again, and especially like you said, the consistency, the lead off. I think to add it to the accolades, you were the first Cal gymnast to go back to back on, what was it, All-American or what was it specifically?
All Pac-12 conference awards and the all-around, yeah.
There you go. I mean, the consistency is the key difference for you. I think the previous episode, it was titled Consistently One Day Better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a great way to close off your career, and I think you definitely earned it. So congratulations, and
thank
all the
you.
best moving forward.
Thank you, and congrats to you too, and good luck with your grad program.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, to everybody that watched on YouTube or listened on Spotify, thank you guys so much. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, please follow the podcast. That is it for today. I'll see you all next time. That's it.
Yay, thank you.
Thank you.
That was good.
That was fun. I really liked the free flow, especially in the second half.
Oh, well, thank you.